So this is a new segment that have thought about. People have asked us if we're ever going to review TV shows. For the longest time, we said no. We're strictly a film podcast, but we think we're going to branch out just a little bit and talk a little bit about some shows we're currently watching and then things we're looking forward to this year. I am currently watching Invincible, which is one of my favorite shows of the last few years. This is an animated film or series on Amazon Prime that centers around Mark Grayson, who's a young child whose father is like a Superman-esque character called Omni-Man. And when Mark turns 17, he too gains these Superman-like powers. And so the first season is him very, very much like coming of age, learning to use his powers, learning to be responsible, which seems very cliche, but it's a very subversive show because Mark just gets beat up like every episode. He like nearly dies, despite being invincible, and it's a lot of like learning the hard way of being a superhero. Also, there's a big mystery in the first season in that the kind of what they call the Guardians of the Globe, which is like a Justice League type outfit. All their members are murdered in the first episode. It's a big mystery as to who did this and why it was done. There's really good subplots in each season, a lot of funny characters. There's lots of humor. It's also incredibly violent. Like it starts out looking like a kids animated show, but then there's like really graphic violence. It's written by or created by Robert Kirkman, who famously wrote The Walking Dead, and of course that was adapted into a big successful TV show. So that's what I'm in the middle of watching. We're on season 3, and the season finale is actually tonight, and I'm going to stay up till 2 a.m. and watch it.
Yeah, I have mostly stuck up with Invincible. I've missed the last couple episodes just because they've had this funny release schedule that I think fans would probably aware of. Like the first season came out and they had a nice long delay between season 1 and season 2. They made a short film, Adam Eve, right, that came out, which is about that character. Like season 3 had a break in the middle of it. Now they're back on it. I am a fan of the weekly releases, especially with cinematic television like this, like stuff that's really prestige. Give it time. Like let each episode breathe, let the memes build up, let the hype train roll into the station, all that's important, but it's difficult when there's so much good television out to keep up with Invincible, especially because Invincible comes on the same night as Severance on Apple TV Plus, which I'm about to talk about here in a second because I really like that show. But would recommend, Andy, you encourage people to check out Invincible?
I strongly recommend. So whenever I watch TV, I usually will give something 2 or 3 episodes to see if I'm like into it. And I was hooked on Invincible from the very first episode. Just like the style, the storytelling, kind of it's pretty gruesome in parts, but every episode generally is like that. And it just has really compelling subplots. So some things are really tragic. There's lots of characters, and it's doing that thing. Reminds me of Hot Fuzz, where it's both a parody and a satire of the superhero genre, but also some very good superhero storytelling. So yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah, postmodern superhero work a la Watchmen. It's funny. I agree with the large number of subplots in Invincible, and I actually like that because so many of them are very comic book oriented. My struggle with the show currently is my least favorite characters are kind of the ones in the A plot, kind of our main characters. But I think that's appropriate because I know it's based on a comic book series that's further ahead than the show is. And from what I've read, our lead Mark is going maybe headed into some dark corners, like darker than usual. And I think maybe that's the way I'm supposed to feel. I think the show's kind of shaped that way. So it's good stuff. I got to catch up on it. The other thing I've been watching is Severance on Apple TV Plus. This show comes from Ben Stiller at Red Hour Productions. This is the show he's been working on since he directed Escape from Dannemora over on Showtime. What if you could skip your job, right? What if you could walk into work and as soon as you walk through the doorway into your office or retail location, wherever you work, you could skip to 5 o'clock and be walking out the other side? That is the subject of Severance, a show about, not working or skipping work if you can. Adam Scott plays Mark S., a man who has signed up to work at Lumen, a big corporation, as a severed worker, a man who has a chip implanted in his brain, and every time he goes down the elevator to work, he changes over into what's called an innie, the inward version of himself, the person who works at Lumen, and he works in MDR, macro data refinement, with three other wonderful coworkers, Zach, Irving, and Helly, who are all fantastic. When he leaves work, Mark turns back into his Audi version of himself, who has no idea what he does for a living and doesn't know what he does at work. Doesn't matter. He just gets a paycheck from Lumen, and life's pretty good. In the meantime, Mark is mourning the death of his wife, who has passed away in a tragic accident. It's how he ended up working at Lumen to kind of get away from the depressions of reality. But it turns out there's more than meets the eye to Lumen, and the work they're doing, while mysterious and important, is definitely important in ways that they can only begin to comprehend. And as MDR begins to tug at the threads of what's really happening down in the severed floor at Lumen, things begin to become clear that maybe weren't before. The show's currently in its second season. It's on Apple TV Plus. It is hands down my favorite show on TV right now. I think it's so cool. And it's so not for everybody because it's heavy sci-fi, but I think it's really special. And just like Invincible, they've just got a couple episodes left until season 2 is done. It is a great time to check it out if you haven't yet. And you've watched a little bit of Severance. From your initial impressions, what do you think?
Yeah, so I watched, again, I mentioned that I would usually give something 2 or 3 episodes. I did give it 3 episodes, and I thought it was interesting, but I also couldn't quite get hooked on it, and then I just never went back and finished it, and now I'm way behind on season 2, so I may never catch up. Maybe if I have a long break, maybe over the summer, I'll catch up on it. But it was, again, a very interesting premise, and also kind of parallels between Mickey 17 and also The Substance, about kind of having a doppelganger that kind of fills out part of your life.
Yeah, and Different Man, starring Sebastian Stan, that we saw earlier this year. Yeah, this theme of doubles, and having a double that goes to work for you, or has more value than you do in a capitalist system, is interesting. And there seem to be a lot of those this year in particular. So yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that in a larger capacity at some point. But Severance is amazing. I think it is so cool. I think it will become, I think both of these shows will get a lot of attention come next Emmys. And you heard it here first on Off Script, folks. Why can't we talk about cinematic television, huh? Why not? It's so much like film, we might as well. So yeah, that's Invincible, and that's Severance. Would recommend. That's an easy recommend for me. Like I said, both these shows only have an episode or 2 left until they're done for the season. No better time to jump in and check them out. I'm assuming both of these have future seasons to come, so would recommend. That's it's Invincible and Mickey 17. That's Invincible and Severance. And with that, we should move into our final review of the episode. Whoa, did I go too far? Did I mess up? Oh, I did.
We did. In addition to our TV corner, we are also going to be talking about some shows that we're looking forward to coming out the rest of the year. We often do this with movies. We compiled a list of things we're looking forward to. Up first, probably closest, is The Last of Us Season 2, which comes out on April 13th, for about a month away. Season 1, masterpiece of television. Episode 3 specifically, long time. If you've seen that, usually a kind of season finale or maybe a mid-season thing is the best episode, and this third episode of this that came out of nowhere is literally one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen. Also starring I always want to say
Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman. In that season. But season 2 is just around the corner. I don't want to get too much into these. We'll be here forever. Yeah. Welcome to Derry, which is a prequel series taking place in the world of Stephen King's It, comes out this fall. We don't know much about it. We haven't really seen anything other than it's just going to take place even before the events from that we know in the book, probably, and the series. Really looking forward to that. Zach, why don't you take the next couple?
Yeah. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is coming to HBO this summer. It's the next Game of Thrones series, right? They did House of the Dragon recently, Game of Thrones before that, of course. Night of the Seven Kingdoms is a bit more singular. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know it's going to be set in Westeros. I know it's going to have that Game of Thrones budget, so keep an eye out. Also, The Bear, season 4 over on Hulu. Dude, The Bear rocks. The Bear took a bunch of Emmys home last year at the Emmys, and it's fantastic, starring Jeremy Allen White, Iowa Berry, our new thing. Oh my God, not Ben Grimm. I can't remember his name.
Moss Backrack.
Cousin, that's it. Emmett Mossbach. Yeah, he's fantastic. They're all fantastic. It's a great show worth watching. Big comedy, lots of fun. It's not even really about cooking all that much. I mean, it kind of is, but also not really. And then Alien Earth, coming from Noah Hawley over on FX. This is that Alien show The show from Alien, you know, like Alien, like the movie Alien and Aliens, those aliens. Yeah, well, they're coming to Earth, I think, or in some capacity. And outside of a teaser, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know it's coming this summer. It looks all right, right? And Alien Earth looks all right.
Yeah, we don't know too much about that, other than like some how a xenomorph something or other ends up on Earth, and that is a prequel to the entire Alien franchise. I'm not real sure how that's going to work out timeline wise, but that's definitely something that I'm going to look forward to. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is going to be a kind of a smaller Game of Thrones property. It's only going to be 6 episodes. It centers around Duncan the Tall, who was a hedge knight. So that's a quick season, 6 episodes. Love the Bear. Definitely looking forward to that. A big one, which I'm not into, but felt like we had to mention, is Stranger Things season 5. This will be the final season. I cannot believe how long it's taken them to do this show. It's been 10 years of Stranger Things, and they're only on the 5th season. I stopped watching after the 3rd season, which I only like half watched, so I don't even know what's going on. The episodes are like 90 minutes long, and I'm just like, I couldn't do it. But that's going to be a big one for July, probably. Zach, are you a Stranger Things fan?
I watched season 4. I'm caught up at least, so I think by default I have to be. But no, I don't own any merch or anything. I think season 4 is the best one they've had since season 1. But I get why you and everybody else are so burnt on it, dude. It's like, what, I'm supposed to watch 90 minutes an episode, every episode to get through these things now? And I think the next one's like, season 5's like even longer. It's like, dude, what are we doing here? You know, like they're crazy long. One other show we're talking about. Go ahead.
Real quick, the first season of Stranger Things is a masterpiece. I remember seeing a trailer for that way back in 2015 and thinking, "Oh man, this looks really good," and it was, and it then became this hit phenomenon thing. Kids on bikes, but now like they've been at it so long, the kids are so old, they're like in their mid-20s. Like they're gonna have kids of their own soon. Like it's just taking so long.
The first season of Stranger Things, like, genuinely changed how we think. I mean, it's part of the reason we're doing this segment right now. It was a Netflix original. It was one of their early ones. We were like, what? Netflix is doing their own TV? I will see what this is like. And they had a couple shows out, but nothing really that hit. And I have distinct memories of my sister coming over to my little 1-bedroom apartment at the time and hanging out with me that evening, being like, hey, I watched this show, Stranger Things, you should watch it. And I was like, what? She was like, you haven't heard about this? Dude, we'll watch it right now. So she puts on the episode on my TV in my living room. I was like, yeah, okay, we'll check this. This is just something. By the end of that hour, I was so stoked to hit episode 2, dude. I was like, this is incredible. Like, this is one of the best things I've ever seen. I stayed up and watched 2 more episodes that night. I went to work the next day. I was all I was thinking about. I was like, I got to get home and watch more Stranger Things. Like, I can't wait. They dropped the whole season. They hadn't really done that before. Like, genuinely changed the way we talk about TV today. I'm glad they're wrapping it up, though. My God, it's been like a decade. How are we still talking about Stranger Things? Like they gotta move through it. One more show, I'll move through this fast. Righteous Gemstones. HBO's got the Righteous Gemstones season 4 coming out. What a show! Big comedy from Danny McBride about Texas megachurches. Not really Texas. I guess they're just megachurches in the South. But being that I'm from Texas, I sure feel a relation to it. It is such a goofy show about the 3 up and coming heirs, I guess I should say, to one megachurch pastor played by John Goodman. His 3 comedy kids who are just awful to each other and don't deserve anything and totally want a piece of the pie. It's like kind of like Succession, but told from the perspective of Danny McBride and not really serious at all. Tremendous, super funny, very goofy, very crass. Love Righteous Gemstones. You just checked out an episode of Righteous Gemstones yesterday, Andy, right?
Yeah, so I haven't really watched this show. I've seen like some clips of it here and there, but I actually watched the first season of season 4. I think it's the first episode I've watched from beginning to end. Great stuff, and even knowing just a little bit about what I do about the show.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. Would recommend. All great stuff, all great content. We got to talk about TV more on here. I'm curious to see how it performs, you know, in the algos. Does this help us? Do we do better talking about
the
TV
people want?
I don't know. Yeah, it's got to be. Anyway, one more movie to talk about before we wrap up this week. Very excited to get to this one because it's very different. It's very strange, and it's not like others. Not like the others, I don't think. Andy's going to take the summary on it. Andy, please take it away.
Chaos, the Manson murders.